Hey folks, this is Rob welcoming you back to vidIQ for a brand new series called vidIQ Interviews. We take a video creator and talk about their YouTube life. Now, this is a trial episode, so we'd love to know what your thoughts are, whether we ask the right questions, if the interview was too long or too short, and of course whether you would be interested in a future interview and to take part in more vidIQ live interview sessions. So let us know in the comments below. That's it from me. Let's get to the interview. Hello everyone and welcome to what I'm calling the pilot edition of vidIQ Interviews, where we take YouTubers and anyone from the YouTube universe who might be interested in talking about all things YouTube, and we definitely have someone today who is very willing to share his story. His name is Zack and his channel is CZsWorld, currently on 80,000 plus subscribers and 11 million channel views. And the reason we're taking Zack as our inaugural interview is because we did a case study around 6 months ago, and ever since then his channel has been on an upward surge. So I just want to welcome Zack to the interview. How are you feeling today, Zack?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Okay, well, let's just jump straight into this because we have plenty of questions to ask. And if you want to ask your own questions in future videos or any comments, do put them in the comments below and we'll try and answer them. But the first question for me to you, Zack, is I can't really put this into a horror concept, so I'm going to say that this is your Marvel or DC superhero origin story of your YouTube channel. Can you just explain it, how you came to be where you are right now?
Well, I actually started way back when I was a kid doing roller coaster tycoon machinima videos, and from there I just kind of got more interested in doing developing narrative stories, and I would do these machinima stories with plot, and from there it just gradually progressed into doing live action. I ended up going to film school for 4 years, and for the last 2 or 3 years I've been really focused on becoming a YouTube creator.
Cool. Well, I want to give you a big thumbs up for a roller coaster tycoon reference there. I remember playing that way back in the, I think, late 90s when it first came out. It's kind of like the successor to Theme Park. I do remember. So clearly, I would say filmmaking is in your blood. What brings you to YouTube specifically, I guess, instead of maybe working professionally in film? Or I'm not sure if you do, but yeah, how does YouTube appeal to you specifically?
I guess, well, YouTube came out when I was in like 5th or 6th grade, so it's always kind of been like on the forefront for me. So I kind of came up watching YouTube videos and like watching the original YouTubers and having my favorite channels that I watched. So I always thought that it would be cool to get into it myself. And the other thing that I love about YouTube is just having the freedom to create what you want and not be controlled by big companies and studios telling you have to do this, you have to change this.
Yeah,
which is kind of ironic now that we're getting into the adpocalypse, and it is a little bit censored now, but like you still have a lot more freedom, and I still get to kind of control my own destiny in that way, which I like.
Exactly. It is that platform which allows you to broadcast to anybody in the world for free, and I do appreciate that. So if we talk a little bit specifically more about your channel, I always say that the pitch is always important, as in you need to describe your target audience and value proposition, or, as we might put it in layman's terms, who should be watching your videos and why?
Horror fans of any kind. If you are interested in like horror movies, I have a series where I cover like things you missed in horror movies and stuff like that. If you're interested in anything creepy, I have a series of creepypasta narrations. I do my own horror short films as well.
Cool.
So anyone who's interested in the dark side of YouTube.
Now, would you say that that is a very targeted niche audience that you've definitely said, I'm not going to try and bring in gamers, because you said you did Roller Coaster Tycoon previously. You're very much focused on a very set audience, or do you still feel as if you want to try to appeal to a broader audience as you grow as a channel?
I think that the number one thing that I'm not going to go outside is it just has to be horror related. So right now it's been a lot of covering horror movies because that's what I'm most familiar with. But I did a little bit of gaming back in the day, and I'm definitely not opposed to covering that as well, as long as I feel it fits within the image of my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually do have plans to start covering some creepy topics in gaming.
Okay, cool. So I guess if we're talking about horror and we're talking about what you might call tentpole events, Halloween is either happening right now or has just happened. Have you prepared anything specifically for horror for Halloween, or have you just been producing content as you've seen fit? How does that influence? I suppose the time of year. How does that influence when you're making content?
Yeah, so just for October in general, what I usually do is kind of up my game. So previously I was doing videos once a month. That's what I was doing this time last year. So for October, I kicked it into doing videos every week. Now that I'm doing videos every week this year, for October this year, I'm doing 2 videos a week. So just taking advantage of the time of year that's going to be most beneficial to me, and trying to pump out as much content during that time as I can, to really take advantage of that momentum created by Halloween. And as far as what I'm doing for Halloween specifically, I'm going to be releasing a new creepy clown episode of my series Al Dente Creepypasta. One of my big a lot of my big videos on YouTube have been covering Stephen King's It. And so I wanted to appeal to the fans who came over from those videos by creating my own creepy clown piece of fiction.
Have you felt that you've had to make any sort of sacrifices in your normal life because it's a busy time of the year for you personally to be making YouTube videos? Have you, I guess, a work-life balance between being a YouTuber, is that are you finding that more difficult as your channel grows?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely more difficult doing 2 videos a week as opposed to doing one. And what I kind of found recently is that I will just keep working on a video until the deadline, and I'll always find a way to get it done. But if I have a week to do it, I'll spend the entire week and exhaust myself and work as much as possible on it.
Yeah.
And if I have only 3 or 4 days to do it, then I'll do the same thing and just do it over that time span.
I'm sure many YouTubers can appreciate with that. Like, once you have an idea for something, it's like almost nothing else matters, and you're just determined to get it done as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to move specifically on to now what you mentioned briefly, the movie Stephen King's It, the re-release of it. So 6 months ago, and this is why we're so interested here at vidIQ, is you posted a comment on our channel about how you'd taken our advice and tried something new to great success, which was this trailer on Stephen King's It.
The comment that started it all.
The comment that started it all. We did a case study on it, of course. If you haven't seen it, everyone, there's probably a link in the description or a card right now on screen. But could you describe that story in your own words? How did this all come about?
Okay, so I don't remember what it was specifically, but it was one of the videos that you had done on the vidIQ channel, and you were talking about how we shouldn't be afraid to experiment with different formats and stuff. And so that's basically what I ended up doing. So I would do my regular weekly content, which at the time I was doing the short films and the scary story narrations, and that was pretty much it. So I started doing, whenever I had time, just adding a video in the middle of the week. My usual release days on Saturdays, so I started adding a video on Wednesdays whenever it was possible for me to do 2 videos in 1 week, and just experimenting and do something else. And that's where I first came about doing the Things You Missed video. Actually, the first one that I did was Things You Missed in the trailer for the American Death Note movie. And I ran a poll on that. And I think that was one of the other things that you guys said in the video is anything that you can do to engage the viewers, YouTube's going to like that. YouTube's algorithm is going to like that. So I ran a poll at the end of that video and said, would you want to see something more like this, or should I just stick to my usual Saturday content? And it was very well received. I think it was about like 90% wanted to see more of that. And so the next video I did after that was the Things You Missed in the It trailer. And then that video, of course, ended up doing super well, and I think has a couple million views now, and has inspired more Things You Missed videos on that topic.
So a couple of things to sort of pick up there for YouTubers watching is you've tried something new, which is always something that you should be trying on YouTube, just to broaden your horizons. And obviously something you may not have even realized is a good idea, and you try it, it can be successful. Lists tend to be always a good YouTube topic to do, like top 10 things, top 20 things. Certainly on my channel, when I've done it in the past, when I've done 100 tips. I think what appeals to YouTube is when you do lists is that it increases the audience retention, because they may not be interested in point number 3, but there's still that appeal to keep watching to find out what the next tip is or the next point is. And also doing polls are super useful for engagement. I've always found that whenever you do a poll on a video, you get tons of engagement just from that mini vote. And it's the same on Twitter. I think when you do polls on Twitter, people just like voting on stuff, and obviously it's works for you. And yeah, I think when we left the story, when vidIQ did a case study, you had around about 500,000 views at that point, and you'd increase your subscriber base by about 10,000. It was 10,000 at the time, I think, and it gone up to 20. So what's happened since then? That was, you had one video out at that point. What's happened since that single video that you did?
Let's see. So that was the things you missed on it. So
The original one, yeah.
Yeah, since then I kind of turned that into a series on my channel that I do all of the time now. And that's kind of like what people want to see from me the most, I think. So whenever there's a horror trailer out that I think that people will be interested in, I'll do a things you missed on that. And those always are like the banner pieces for my channel, and I've continued to grow since then, basically.
Yeah, so basically the obvious thing was that you saw something that was super successful, and rather than moving on to another topic, you thought, let's produce more content, similar content on the same topic. Mm-hmm. And that's been super successful. I think we recently did a video called Doubling Down, where you're hustling to try and find a topic that really resonates with you and your audience. You find it, and then you produce more content on it. I think we counted that you now have 9 million plus views from just that one single topic of the trailer It. Mm-hmm. Which is pretty incredible, I guess.
I think one of the other fun things has been, because like what I came here to do is to create creative short films. And I love doing, excuse me, I love doing the things you missed videos as well. But one of the things that was kind of a challenge for me is how can I get my my short films in front of people?
Yeah.
While continuing to grow my channel with the viral content that people want to see. So at first I tried going down the route of creating films that kind of pertained to the trends that were out there. So when the It trend was going on, I did a short horror film about a creepy clown, and that didn't necessarily do very well compared to the It videos. So now what I've been doing is kind of incorporating my filmmaking into the things you missed videos and kind of giving them a narrative. So on one of the recent ones I did, Happy Death Day is very popular right now. That's, I think, my most popular topic at the moment. I did things you missed on Happy Death Day and kind of played into this whole narrative that I'm in the video and I'm reliving the same day. If you're not familiar with Happy Death Day, it's kind of like a Groundhog Day scenario. Where this girl is reliving the same day over and over again and getting killed. So I put myself in the video, reliving the same day and trying to make the perfect things you missed video, because that's what I thought would break the cycle.
Cool. It's interesting you say that, because one of the questions I was going to ask is that you've started to become what I would call a YouTube influencer on the keyword things you missed, especially in the horror genre, because of success with It especially. So is there not a temptation to sort of abandon like your sketches, like the foundation of why you created your YouTube channel, to just, I guess, almost like commercialize your channel? Have you not, I guess your answer already is that no, you're wanting to continue with the videos that you do want to make.
Yeah, and like, to be entirely clear, I do love making the things you missed videos as well. But I guess my long-term goal is to one day be able to direct a feature film.
Yeah.
And I don't know if just continuing to do only things you missed videos where it's just my voice is pushing me in the right direction with that. even if I'm continuing to grow my channel. So finding ways to incorporate creative stuff into the things you missed, like even from the start of things you missed, I ended up kind of formatting the series using some information that I had heard from a study that was done on Tube Filter. And what the study said was that, like, if you can put numbers in your title, that will get you more views.
Yeah.
Just straight up, if you have a video with number in the title and the straight up video without the number in the title, the one with the number will get more. If you put a red arrow in the thumbnail, the video will get more views. So I wouldn't really consider my videos to be list videos, but I always put the number in the title and just kind of count up the total number of things that I talked about. But I present it in like a much more narrative sense.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, certainly on my videos, I'm put the number up in a big box. But I think, remember watching your videos, as you say, once you're actually into the video, there is more of a, I guess, a story element of how you're progressing through each of the topics. And an interesting thing, again, from a YouTuber's point of view, is that it's brilliant to produce content that appeals to your audience. But I guess every once in a while, you have to create content that appeals to you as a YouTuber, and the reason why you make videos to keep it interesting for you, because list videos all the time, it could become very stagnant for you as a personally.
So one of the things that really inspired me to go in that direction, and again, I don't feel like I'm being dishonest. I feel like the way that I market the video still very much represents what I'm giving them.
Yeah.
But I'm just incorporating my own creative elements into it. But there was a video by Rocket Jump either a year or two ago, and this is while pranks were really popular on YouTube. So they did a collaboration with a YouTuber named Roman Atwood, and they titled it like Ball Pit Prank Gone Wrong or something. And so it's just like really just appealing to the trending page on YouTube. But what it ended up being is it started as this ball pit prank, but then it turns into this thing where like they're stranded in their office and it's like this whole really elaborate cinematic short film. And I thought that was really cool that like they did something really cinematic like that, but disguised it kind of as like something that people would want to click on.
So yeah, it's almost like positive clickbait, isn't it? You're getting people into the video with kind of very well used techniques, but then you're delivering something slightly different, but still very appealing to the viewer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really like to consider it clickbait. I feel like clickbait is just when you're promising one thing and you're giving them something else. But if you can just make very attractive videos to click on, then I think that's totally fair game.
Cool. Well, obviously a very interesting story specifically with it. And I noticed on your Twitter feed that you, as you were going through this phase of your views turning from like a couple of thousand maybe a day to 10,000 a day and whatnot, you were ticking off, you had this YouTube goals list, like a handwritten list that you were ticking off.
Yeah.
And obviously you started ticking that off pretty quickly. So I don't think we can see it quite on camera, but like, what were your goals for this year, or what were your goals that you thought may take longer, but you've been able to smash them with the success of your videos this year?
So I think this year, my main two goals were like 500,000 views and 100,000 subscribers. And I ended up hitting that very early in the year, much earlier than I had anticipated. So then whenever I achieved a goal, I started writing new goals. So some of the ones that are written on here are 100,000 views on a video. I smashed that pretty quickly. I actually hit that before the Things You Missed takeoff with my short film Live Alone, which that was kind of like my standout before I introduced Things You Missed.
Yeah.
So now like the most recent ones are 100,000 subscribers, which I haven't achieved yet, but I'm getting close to 10 million views, which I have achieved, which is just crazy because earlier in the year I wanted to get like...
It was less than 1 million, wasn't it? I think. I seem to remember.
I think it was 1 million.
Yeah. So that's a 10x increase in channel, yeah.
Now hopefully I can do that again and be in the million range by next year.
That was the next question. Like, what are your new long-term goals? Like, if you wanted to hit some in 2018, if you've not thought of any yet, just like.
Well, unfortunately, I've kind of run out of space on the paper here, so I need to get another one from YouTube Space. But
Yeah.
there's 4 on here that I haven't crossed off yet, which are 50,000 likes on a video, 5 videos over 1 million, appearing on the trending page, and 100,000 subscribers. The trending page might be a little bit out of my control because it seems like whenever I have a video that's doing well and I look at the trending page, the videos on there are not doing as well as my video. But
yeah, I think the key to that is to appear on a Jimmy Kimmel show, and then
right.
No problem. But it's interesting that you mentioned YouTube Space there. Could you tell us a little bit more about what that is and how you've been involved with it?
Yeah, so I live in the Los Angeles area, so I have access to the YouTube Space, and there's YouTube Spaces all around the world. I think they have New York, London.
Yeah.
They have one in Toronto now, right?
Yeah.
Tokyo. There's a bunch of them, and they're opening up more all the time. But basically what it is a studio space for YouTubers that we get to use for free to produce our content. So they have like a whole access program. Got this on the other side here, where if you hit certain subscriber thresholds, then you can kind of unlock different stuff that you can use at the space. So the main one is if you're over 10,000 subscribers, you can use their production facilities and post-production. And they also offer classes there, and they offer that for creators of all different levels. So if you guys are near YouTube Space, I would definitely recommend. I always try to go to take those classes whenever possible.
Is that quite heavily subscribed, or have you found it okay to get a spot? Because it seems like there would be a lot of people wanting to go and use those facilities and have those classes.
It's surprisingly, especially for the classes, it's surprisingly easy to get into them.
Okay.
The spaces are, the shooting spaces, I guess, are sometimes a little bit busier.
Yeah.
And the post-production, you would think people would be in there all the time, but whenever I go in there, there's only like 1 or 2 people there.
I guess for production-wise, you're pretty used to how your setup is at home, and going into a foreign environment might be a bit scary, but I think to learn new stuff, that would be incredible. So I'll certainly leave some links in the description about the YouTube Space. Sorry, I think you were going to say something, Zach.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who are YouTubers are not coming from a filmmaking background like I am. So the idea of shooting on a soundstage and stuff can be kind of intimidating to them.
Yeah.
And then like if you get to 10,000 subscribers, you obviously kind of have your own setup and know what you're doing to begin with. But for me, it was really cool because as I was growing, like my first year or 2 as a creator on YouTube, I was in film school. So I had access to the equipment through the school. And now that I've hit that threshold, I can kind of have access to higher level equipment again if I want to.
Awesome. Okay, let's move on to things that might, to you personally, then, as a YouTuber. And obviously you're in the horror genre, and we've spoken a little bit about adpocalypse already, but taking your genre into consideration, have you had any issues with YouTube demonetization?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really, really bad for my channel and for the entire horror community.
Yeah.
Just because YouTube's bot is still learning, I guess. And every time I upload a video that pertains to horror or creepy or like any of those tags, it just immediately gets demonetized. And then you have to do this appeal for a human review, and it takes forever.
Yeah. And obviously all the views come in the first 48 hours to a week usually, and that's critical time for at least AdSense on the YouTube videos.
Right. I mean, that's what just happened to me with the Jigsaw video that I did. I uploaded it beforehand, had it unlisted for a while. They never got around to reviewing it. I had to release it eventually.
Yeah.
They still haven't gotten around to reviewing it. So I'm getting a video that's doing very well and getting a ton of traffic, and it's not getting any monetization, which is really unfortunate. There's actually a whole movement on YouTube because the whole adpocalypse has really affected the horror community and a couple of other communities like the news community and I think like the wrestling community for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But the horror community's kind of banded together to try to tell YouTube like the stuff that we're doing isn't necessarily advertiser unfriendly. If you're doing a creepy, suspenseful video, there's no reason that shouldn't be monetized. So one of the biggest names in the horror community, his name is Rob Dyke. He started this movement called hashtag Keep YouTube Creepy. And that's kind of like something that we've all banded around to try to get recognition to. Because, I mean, it's sad to see the adpocalypse driving away YouTubers who used to be able to rely on it for a living.
And just as a comparison, outside of vidIQ, I do a tech channel, and I've had no issues with any videos in the last year with demonetization, I guess because tech is a very ad-friendly area. So it's obviously something I can't personally appreciate, the struggles that certain YouTube communities go through.
The thing that I don't understand is when you go to a cinema, or if you're watching TV or traditional media, the advertisers don't care what kind of content they're advertising on. They just want to get their name out there. And I don't think when viewers watch a YouTube video, they watch the video and say like, oh, Coca-Cola, they support this channel specifically. I think it's just saying that Coca-Cola advertises on YouTube and I don't think that viewers draw that connection. So I think what they should really do is just have an asterisk and say the views expressed in this video don't necessarily reflect the views of the advertiser.
Good
and
point.
just not even worry about the demonetization thing, because honestly, it's like destroying people's careers.
Exactly.
Over a bot that is not fully developed yet.
Have you found it a demotivating factor, or the joy of video making is something that pushes you through despite any issues of income?
The interesting thing about it is when the adpocalypse started is right when I released that first It video that blew up. So I think the fact that people were giving up and quitting was actually kind of helping me at the very beginning, because I had such a small channel and it was just giving me more opportunities because the market was less flooded. So I think that kind of helped me initially grow at first. But now that I have grown and I do kind of have a fan base and I just want to put stuff out there, it's very frustrating, but I'm just trying to push through it and hope that it'll get resolved. I mean, every week is a battle with my partner support people, trying to get them to review the video, but I just try to worry about the content as much as possible and just try to push through it.
Well, we do wish you and every other YouTuber who's struggling with demonetization the best of luck, and hopefully YouTube will resolve this soon. I mean, they have to as a business, especially now that they've got YouTube TV that's coming out onto their platform.
And by the way, vidIQ has a really nice option in your video manager that lets you filter out all of the videos that have been demonetized or partially demonetized. So it makes it easier to go through your old videos and see which ones have been appealed. Because a lot of the times the notifications that they send are really inconsistent for whatever reason. I think the whole notification system on YouTube is kind of buggy. But that's been a helpful tool for me to track which videos have been reviewed and which videos still need work.
Well, that's an excellent segue, because the next question was going to be, we're going to talk a little bit about vidIQ now. We're like, how do you use vidIQ in your daily YouTube life, and what are your favorite tools?
So the number one thing that I use would be the tag ranking tool. So not only when I'm uploading my video and looking for the right tags to use and the most effective tags, but also when I'm planning, like, what video am I going to do next? I can look at I can type some video ideas into the tag ranking thing, and it'll tell me like how hot those tags are at the time. So like a combination of using that and Google Trends kind of helps me plan which content I want to release when. So for example, the last video that I did, I was actually planning on doing a different video for that upload slot, and I ended up plugging it into vidIQ and seeing the trends for Jigsaw were rising towards that date.
Oh, cool. So vidIQ actually influenced directly a video that you produced.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So I decided, all right, I'll just save the other video for later and hit this topic while it's really hot.
Yep. And it seems to have worked, because it's got 100,000 views in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yep. Awesome.
So outside of the tag ranking tool, I just really like having the vidIQ stat bar on the side of the videos because whenever I watch
So
videos,
good.
whenever I'm seeing the content that I like and the content that is successful, it's really helpful to just see those stats and see, especially like seeing what tags they used. Because one of the things that I learned was I used to use like really short one-word tags like horror, creepy,
Yeah.
etc. But I found that a lot of the videos that are doing really well use more specific
Yeah.
tags like things you missed in Jigsaw or
Yeah.
so I've been using like a lot of the longer tags because of that. And it just kind of helps you see what videos are doing well and like how the people who are successful are doing it and how I can apply those methods to my own channel.
I think that's an awesome tip in that smaller YouTubers need to appreciate that they can't just do a video on Stephen King and assume that it's going to do well. You have to really think and be savvy about finding a specific keyword that's underserved by YouTube videos and that you can really establish a base into like 3-4 word key phrases and such. So yeah, that's
Mm.
really a really good piece of advice.
The other thing that I'll do is when I'm uploading a new video, I'll kind of look back at my old videos that were successful and see which tags are ranking really highly for
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
in the search and use those tags and kind of like take those tags and apply them to whatever the new topic is.
Yeah, you're just joining the dots there for each of your videos, and any information you can give to YouTube, which helps connect one video to another of your content, especially, is really helpful. Okay, so that's the vidIQ pitch out of the way, I think. There. So, who are your YouTube inspirations? Like, who do you watch as a YouTuber, and have you sort of taken any strong influences from any YouTubers in particular?
As far as horror channels, I like to listen to a lot of the narration channels like Mr. Nightmare and Busta. All of the creepypasta and true scary story stuff is really cool to me. And then um, I guess like the biggest inspiration for me would be Pony Smasher, who does the horror short films. He did the short film Lights Out a couple of years ago and ended up um, being contacted by Blumhouse and getting to direct his own feature film based on Lights Out. And now he's like a major Hollywood director. He did Annabelle Creation and he's working on a new Shazam movie right now. So I guess like seeing his path from YouTube to being able to direct feature films is really cool. So that's a huge inspiration to me. And I think it's really cool that he still uploads to his YouTube channel and talks about like he recently did a series where he talks about the creation of Annabelle Creation.
Yep. Cool. Just what you're doing there is you're showing that you have a real passion for your genre, and the knowledge base that you have sort of really establishes you as a YouTuber. Like me personally, I'm not familiar with all those names, but obviously within your community, uh, you are, I guess, one of those people who's gained all this knowledge and is now sharing it with your viewers, which is really good to see. If we talked about you as a YouTuber now, like what would you say is your biggest strength and your biggest weakness? This is kind of like an interview question now.
I think my biggest strength is that I'm always learning and I pay attention to all of the like recommended practices on YouTube, the ones that you guys give on the vidIQ channel, a bunch of other like filmmaking channels and YouTube channels like Tim Schmoyer's Video Creators
Of
is really
course,
helpful
yeah.
to me. And YouTube Creator Academy and uh, I'm just always trying to learn and keep up to date with the best practices for YouTube. And I think my weakness is that I've kind of, I remember before I said that I was kind of experimenting on Wednesdays and trying to develop all of these new series. I think I kind of developed too many and the main message of my channel became a little bit muddled. And I like when you go to my channel, you just see series after series and a lot of them are quite different from each other. So I think one of the things that I need to figure out how to do is figure out like what my most important content is and stick to like 2 or 3 main series that really work for me.
Yeah, cool. And if you were to give a new YouTuber just starting out their channel one piece of advice, what would it be?
Hmm. Um, I would say like the best thing that you can do is just work really hard at your channel and um, put a lot of effort into your videos. It's not going to be as easy as people make it look, but if you try harder than the competition, then I think your channel will rise to the top.
Yep. Cool. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Zach. I do appreciate it. And as I say to everyone, this was our pilot episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions for Zach, then post them in the comments, and hopefully you might have a look at some and maybe post some responses. And if you want to get involved in a future interview, if you think your channel may be of interest to us to help other YouTubers grow and get more views in less time, then by all means, drop a comment in the comments below, and I will get in touch with you. Thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate your time, Zach.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we'll see you all again soon on vidIQ interviews. Bye for now.